Now, some key elements of standard work. There's specifications, usually for a workstation, that include the precise sequence in which steps or work elements are performed. And this can include the takt time, which I'll talk about in a minute, and that's basically the rate at which products must be made to meet customer demand. It includes standard inventory. It includes units in a machine, keep the process operating smoothly, and it talks about specific safety, equipment, and quality checks to be performed before and during operations. So we'll go through the elements here: takt time, work sequence, and standard work in process. Your takt time is basically your process pulse. It's the amount of time allocated to produce one unit of work. It's a synchronized process and establishes the measure for uniform production flow. And again, it's based on the customer demand, not the time it actually takes to do the work. Because if you can't meet the customer demand and the time it takes to do the work, obviously you need to review how you're doing things to improve your process to meet the customer demand. If all operations or process steps are within the process pulse time, overall production and processing will flow smoothly and uniformly. There's no unevenness, no overburden of workers or machines. This also limits overproduction, which means you got a stabilized system and prevents buildup of inventory or WIP and sequential stops and starts, and therefore you maintain that steady flow through your entire organization. Please don't confuse takt time with your cycle time. And this often happens because if you think about cycle time, there's two different things here: your operator cycle time and your machine cycle time. So your operator cycle time is the total time for a worker to complete one cycle of an operation, which obviously is not the same thing as takt time, which is based on customer demand. Machine time is talking about the time between the instant the on button is pressed and the point at which the machine returns to its original position after finishing the operation on the part and is completed. Now your work sequence. When you document that, you're looking at specific order in which an operator performs the manual steps of the process. It does not have to be the same as the process sequence necessarily, but may be advantageous to be different even from the process. It focuses on work sequence that helps stop waste and stabilize the process. And often when you're doing this, if you're further on in your lean journey and implementing cells, you're going to be having multi-skilled workers who can handle several different machines or stations so that you can organize this in a flow that allows you to say everybody understands the sequence and the importance of it and how their part plays a role in the overall operations. Now, your standard WIP or work in process. It's the specified minimum amount of material which must be in process at any given time to allow proper flow for the operation. So there's two things here. You're looking at automatic operations, which require a certain amount of WIP to enable the worker to be separated from the automatic machine, and that standard WIP is not required at manual operations necessarily. So you need to standardize and understand what's required at each location. Again, this allows workflow to continue without worker waiting on automated machines. Examine this, document this. I'm going to show you in a minute some charts that'll help you do this, but you need to clarify the difference between your manual activities and your machine activities.